Hello everyone, it's me, and this is a demo walkthrough for the new Isotonik Max for Live audio visualizer device, Morph Audio Advanced version 1.2 by Isotonik Studios and Ned Rush, otherwise known as me. It sits nicely in the Isotonik world environment, so you can use it with any number of the other devices in the range. And it's kind of a step up from a previous device which we did in our starter pack to include a little bit more, I say a little bit, many more options for how you can draw the shape and how it can interact with your music. I say it's an audio-visual device. What I really mean is that it's an audio analysis device and then kind of creates visuals based on the type of audio that you feed it and the way that you draw it, which is what it's doing right now with my voice. It's got a kind of 70s talking science fiction computer vibe thing going on. So I will just drop a new one in and we'll start from scratch and I'll take you through it. So when you drop Morph into a track, you obviously need to have a world viewer running, otherwise you won't be able to see it. You'll get this, which might not look like much, but we're going to tweak it. I'm going to have a jam, I'm going to have a beer, and we're going to see what happens. I've also got some techno here, which I made on my modular. Bring it in here. That can be our soundtrack. So, some of these controls will look familiar. We've got our sort of standard XY position, which we can now reset with this. Flick it back to the center, that's nice. We've got our depth, blah, blah, blah. Gain for how much audio. Then we've got these different modes for the audio analysis. Let's get something pretty basic going right now, shall we? See what we get here. Whoa, set some dimensions. Let's crank up the dimensions. Oh, okay. So I'll just quickly give it some of that. All right, let's go to. How about some of this? How about some of that? That'll do. All right, maybe just quick some of this. All right. So that's dancing away. So yeah, there are these different audio analysis modes, and they behave differently. They're kind of complicated to explain. Just play with them. We've also got this redux feature, which kind of slows down the audio analysis, which can be really fun when using it with certain shapes and certain types of audio. It kind of makes a sort of, if you imagine like a wave table, it kind of creates like a, let's see what we can do with this cube. Maybe a cube. Let's just maybe a plane with, oh, okay, let's turn that round here. Alright, so if I turn this redux back down, it's kind of making some little wibbly wobbly waves there, but if I turn that up, it kind of slows down. You can sort of start to see some, there we go, look at that, it's sort of like a wave. If we turn that up, it's much more abrupt, faster, it's working faster. If we turn that down, it slows it down. We get these sort of waves traveling. There's lots of scope for There's lots of scope for 3D oscilloscope sort of fun to be had. Moving on, we've got the color palette. We've got automatic color paletting. How much that we want with that. We've got the blend mode, which will only work depending on how many instances there are. And basically, the blend mode works with the way that the blend mode works is it's how multiple instances of them are sort of visualized against each other. If you imagine perhaps in Photoshop, when you pile two photos on top of each other, you can choose a different way that they blend. Well, you can do the same thing with multiple instances of this, which can make for really cool kind of overlapping and interfering, you know, when the shapes collide and they hit each other and their surfaces bump into each other, they kind of create these exciting shadows and shit like that. So maybe we'll get onto that if we have more than one. The texture basically works as we can take the incoming audio and map it to a texture like that. So, hello. So, yeah, basically, as it analyzes the audio, it creates a texture. We can choose to have the texture be horizontal or vertical. The axis of things in this device is kind of quite important. We've given you two, horizontal and vertical, and depending on which one you choose will have quite a profound effect on the result and the way that the shape moves and works and stuff. Okay, let's put that horizontal so it's matching the horizontal mesh displacement. Okay, let's keep going. So then what have we got? We've got these poly modes, which probably are a little bit more noticeable in... Let's turn the texture off. Probably a little bit more noticeable with a sphere. Let's just kill that for a second. So when we are using a 3D object like a sphere, the way that the surface is drawn is kind of predetermined by the poly control and the draw mode. Currently, I'm using a sort of solid drawing mode. I can choose... I can obviously choose these different drawing modes, but depending on what kind of drawing mode I'm using, I can also choose which side of the shape is visible. It could be the front or the back, and when I've chosen that, I can choose other different types of drawing modes. So there's quite a lot of options in terms of what you can do. So right now we're only viewing the front of the shape. So if you imagine that this was an actual 3D object, like a football, and it was in front of us, we'd be looking at the side that was visible to us. But we can also look at the back as well, which can kind of be quite weird. Can make for some... We're actually looking sort of inside. It's almost like the front of it is suddenly become invisible, and we're looking at the back of it. It's fucking weird, if you ask me. So that's fun. And once we've sort of got into that, we've got all these different drawing modes. Just play around with them, find something you like. I'll always like points. Points is nice, but let's go with points. Okay, moving along, we've got the size of the points. Whoa, that's cool. And then I think if we've got lines, if we've got a line type thing drawn, we can choose the size of the lines as well. So let's go with the points. When you're in points and you've got texture turned on, you can kind of make these fun light shows, which is nice. But I'm going to turn that off. Then we've got scale, which is, you know, X, Y, Z size. I'm just going to keep them all on 1 for now. And then we've got the shapes. Now, what separates this from the standard Morph, other than having more in-depth drawing modes, is this is actually 2 shapes. And we can crossfade between the 2 shapes. So I've got this top shape, which is a sphere, and now I've got this bottom shape, which is a cube, and I can crossfade between them like that. Whoa. Whoa. That's fun, isn't it? So you can kind of almost use this like a kind of 2-way visual device. You could kind of have 2 separate shapes interacting with the audio in different ways and flick between them like that. And if you can go in the middle and find like sort of very obscure stuff. And then underneath that, we've got this business. Now, this is, for me, I think where the fun really starts. This is the X, Y, and Z displacement of the mesh according to the audio. So let's go back to a sphere. Let's try and get everything back to the center. Here we are with a sphere. And so in these little drop-down menus, basically we've got X, Y, and Z for the top shape, X, Y, and Z for the bottom shape. And then inside these drop menus, there are these different operators which will displace the mesh with the audio. You can choose to multiply the mesh. So now I'm multiplying the X axis of the top shape. And I can choose to do that vertically or horizontally. You can see the results are different. I can choose to add, again, vertically or horizontally. I can choose to minus, which kind of can sort of sometimes suck the shape inside itself, or I can kind of divide it, which kind of just makes it go mental and huge. And then we can do that for all three axes. So now I'm doing the y-axis, multiplying, adding, subtracting, dividing. And we can do it for the z-axis. The z-axis was actually how the original morph worked. So this will look kind of familiar. And we can choose to do that vertically or horizontally. And then we can crossfade to another one. And depending on whether, if you're in mode 2 or mode 3, you can apply some slide here like that. Make everything really slow. Yeah, then once we get past the X fade, these are the dimensions controls. We've got the anchor point. Oh yeah, the anchor point. So this is kind of new as well. In previous devices, we've kind of had all anchor points set to 0, but now we've kind of put the anchor points in, so when you rotate them, you can rotate it around an anchor point like that to kind of make it turn with some distance rather than turn on itself. So we can kind of get some fun movement like that. We've also got all these auto controls, which will be familiar. Let's bring in a little bit of auto color. Let it jam for a bit whilst I have a guzzle of beer. So cool. Yeah, you know, I'm just chilling, yo. Let's turn all that off. Let's put this all back to the middle. Whoops. So those are kind of the basics. So let's just make something now. Let's make something kind of strange. Kind of fun. Let's just play around, see what happens. Whoa, what? Whoa. Okay. I don't know what I just did, but I made that. Oh yeah, that's cool. Well, it's like a weird tunnel. Just gonna turn the auto palette off for a minute. Woo! Okay, so let's auto rotate that, shall we? There we go, off it goes. Let's bring the texture in here. We've also got some slide on the texture, I think. There we go. Bring the gain up a little bit. Whoa. Whoop. Bring in a little bit more techno. And of course, we can bring in the some of the world viewer effects. These are all shit hot. I really like this RGB thing. Kind of makes it look kind of lo-fi video. Whoops. Collide. The feedback I like too. And yeah, we can display some of the other meshes as well. Let's try some different combinations here. Let's try a different shape. It's looking kind of cool. Woo! Whoa! Cool, okay. Let's bring the Redux thing down now. Let's sort of slow everything down. Oh, it's nice. It's nice. So yeah, we can kind of create these fun dancing fans or bubbling balls or, you know, LED rooms. The LED room is kind of fun. We're in a cube right now. Let's try and make the LED room. I think I might have to make some presets. Probably be the thing to do, won't it? Let's make the LED room. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's the shape gone? I've killed the shape. There it is. Here we go, the LED room. I'm just going to change the techno slightly. Cool. All right. We're back in the LED room. So, I tell you what, whilst I've got that going, why don't I just duplicate that? And now we've got a second one. We've got a different shape. We can experiment with a different shape. We can have this one be a completely different colour. And we can have it jumping around doing all kinds of stuff. Let's maybe put it a little. Let's put it inside the LED room. There it is. And let's have it rotating. There we go. Woo! Little bubbles. Lovely. So this is kind of when the blend modes would come into play here. So we've got these different blend modes. Let's put them both to add. I'm going to have to go back into this one here. Add. If I kind of move that, where's the position? If I move that, you can kind of see how it's kind of a little bit transparent. Multiply. Maybe not multiply. So, you've got blending options. And when you want to use lots of them, add is fine. Cool. You know, LED room. Could maybe make the LED room rotate a little bit, shall we? There we go. Whoa, we're off. It's off. Let's maybe... What can we do with... No, not that one. No, not that one. That one. No, not that one either. Oh, not that one either. Okay, it's always the Z-axis. There we go. Cool, look at that. All right. Change some colours, blah, blah, blah. Another thing that Morph is good for is kind of quasi 3D oscilloscope stuff, which I'll demonstrate here with the Make Noise O Coast, which I've got plugged in. Here it is. I'll tell you what I'll do, actually. I will put both of these on that channel so that it doesn't read my voice. Hello. There we go. Right. So, quick guzzle a bit. So let's bring the O Coast in. Okay, so the oscilloscope stuff tends to work best with either modes 2 or 3. 2 will kind of give you a sort of what's the best way to put it? A kind of oscilloscope that will update, whereas 3 will give you kind of a static one. If you're not familiar with the O Coast, I'm pretty sure it's kind of an additive synthesizer, so I can bring in all kinds of extra harmonics. A good thing to do here is to maybe apply a little bit of slide to the axis that it's displacing. That's cool. Let's go to a different drawing mode. Nice, that's nice. So very pure shapes like that will give you stuff like that. Look at that. Oh. Let's bring in some auto rotation now. Cool. Let's flip that to. Let's keep that on that axis. Nice. Let's try that with. Just going to turn that off a second. Let's try it with the plane. Let's go to the plane. Look at the plane here. What's the plane doing? Oh, there we go. Lovely. Look at that. That's cool. If we bring the redux in here. You can see as it's slowly drawing across. Let's just make it bigger, man. Let's make it bigger. I want to see it. I want to see its bits. Cool. Sorry if these noises are hurting your ears, it's for demonstration purposes. Oh, look at that. So you can really find these points where it'll just make a gnarly thing. This would be great for your avant-garde drone set. You're into that sort of stuff. Alright, so maybe I've demonstrated enough. Oh, lovely. It's got a lo-fi vaporwave thing about it. You know what that is? Maybe you don't. That's because you're not as cool as me. Okay, so there you go. I don't think there's really much more else to demonstrate. Try it yourself. Put one on your kick drum, one on your bass line, one on your hi-hat. Stack them up into instrument racks, macro them, do all the normal Ableton Live stuff you would do. Try it with the world effects. You get stuff like this. Blur it. Ooh, psychedelic. Cool. Thanks for watching. Enjoy.